Welcome back to Action Toon Bros.
Oh yeah.
It is another Young Justice episode, which means Matthew is taking the lead. We
Yes,
are
he
on a
is.
whole new arc.
Yep.
And my co host for this wonderful arc is, of course, Ben Sturgeon.
How do you do? How do y'all doing? And not gonna lie, I am kind of excited for this one. I mean, don't get me wrong. We got done with there was the Clarion arc and everything like that with the
Yeah, yeah.
Vandal Savage and everything. But I'm actually more excited for this arc because of you don't see a lot of positive Aquaman in media as much as like the Flash or Batman or anything like that. Because I mean, when he first started, it was man talks to fish, right?
Yeah, yeah, all the bad Super Friends jokes from the aughts and the 90s and all that stuff. Of course, just Momoa doing his damnedest in those mediocre at best and hated by it at worst Zack Snyder's films and then that universe. Me and you watched the first Aquaman movie, right?
We did,
We watched that on Netflix.
yeah. It was
And it was
years ago.
surprisingly good. It was surprisingly like a
It
good
wasn't.
watch.
It wasn't bad. Like I mean, Jason actually did a really good job in that movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was decent. The effects were interesting and good. It was just like I liked how beautiful the aesthetic of the weird monsters and shit was. We talked about it off air, but the second Aquaman movie, which I know you didn't see, it was shitty to say the least.
I mean, that's
I was surprised at how
that's one
bad
way
it
of putting
was. Yeah, no, I would say like it's so bizarre because I guess we'll just go on this little mini tangent right now. Actually, I guess we probably save it for the end of the episode. I'll save it for the end of the arc. But we'll talk about in depth about the like sequel DC stuff before the current reboot. But we are on a new arc. I don't know. We call this the Poseidonus arc or the Aquaman arc.
I like the Poseidonus one the most. Yeah.
Yeah, Poseidonus was a fun. That was a fun little word name for the city, the main city, or whatever the hell it is. We'll start the Poseidonus arc, Young Justice episode 14 through 17. The first episode we are going to be covering is episode 14, Nautical Twilight. We open in Star City. It's the same scene where Artemis is being told about Connor's death by Dick and Cal and who's the other one there with them?
Will.
Will Harper's also there.
Will Harper's there. Yeah. And then, immediately after that scene, we get we go to the Watchtower, where you just see the Memorial Garden, where Caldor and Dick are looking at the newly installed Superboy hologram, and Caldor's like, "Okay, look, I get it. Like, we did a lot of memorial services.
They mentioned Tula and they mentioned Wally, and he's like, through all of that, we still survived, and we need to keep working towards this. Maybe
right? Yeah,
I was there when all of them passed, but we need to keep doing this.
And Dick looks at him. He's like, "Wow. I mean, look, I get it. You've been like the most adult out of all of us, but like with Tula, with Wally, and now with Connor."
And Jason you mentioned as well.
Oh yeah, and Jason. Yep, and Jason as well. Yeah, you got to take some time and actually, process all of this. You've never had a time to stop. And
yeah, he says you led the Outsiders, you led the original Young Justice team when we first began. You were the leader, and you've been Aquaman with actually leading the Justice League. That like last season or so, which is also a crazy thing. That's like, yeah, he's been Aquaman for so long, he's actually led the entire league.
Right.
And it's just like, yeah, you've done too much. You need to take a break. And he says, no, I can't take a break. I have to keep working. I can't retire. I can't relax. And this is when we kind of got a quick little cut of Ocean Master. What the hell?
Whoa!
He's
wait,
meeting
what
some.
now?
Yeah, I know. He's meeting some rando named Danuth or something like that. And he's like, now we're going to take revenge on my brother. And then that's when the intro hits.
Right?
And we are very confused.
Hey, by the way, I'm Ocean Master. I exist. Thank you, random Danuth, for being loyal.
Exactly.
And then roll credits because, it's not Aquaman without Ocean Master.
Yeah, we see Cal and the character named Wind, who did we introduce that character last season, I believe?
I believe we did, yes.
Yeah, it's Cal's boyfriend. They're in Poseidonus, and they are going to visit the council of all the seven principalities or whatever the hell.
Yep, it's like the city. It's like the city states or whatever. But yeah, either way, it's a big old conference, and they're gonna try to make peace and everything.
Yep, Mira begins by casting a language spell, saying that this is an annual meeting of the different ocean leaders, and we're trying to figure out, how to progress and how to fix the issues that we're having. Some of the people we see are Volko, who was played by Willem Dafoe in the Aquaman movie. He was Arthur's teacher, and he also he's just like an old leader. We see King Shark, of course, Nanoe of Nanove is the ocean that they call it.
Yep.
We see Lumeria, we see the little octopus dude who I didn't write the name down of because I don't think he's that important.
Wait, do you remember where he's from?
Not off the top of my head.
It's not Cher. Hold on a second. I have the name. I think it was Topo from Lemuria.
Lemuria? Yeah, I was also wrote down my notes. Hey, Lemuria mentioned.
Yeah. I think Topo is the weird octopus guy. Yes.
Yeah, and,
yes, he is.
Yeah, and then there's also Coral, who we know is, I think, from last season. Did we see her with Lagan, or is it just new this season? I can't remember.
This season is actually when she's with Lagan, but I feel she was mentioned before.
She might have been in the school back in season 2. Whenever they mentioned they showed the underwater school, she may have been with them back then, possibly because we found out later that they all went to school together. Right. One of the other delegates points out that Zebel, which is where Mira's father is from, King Nereus, is not present, nor did he even send some kind of stand-in. And they're just ugh, he continues to be a huge pain in the ass.
And of course, immediately everyone starts getting especially Nanoe is just look at them disrespect this, disrespect that. And of course, you have King Orin just okay, look, guys, tomorrow they will definitely send someone, and right now this is just the precursor to this whole thing. Come, enjoy my city. And of course, Nanoe is just wow, look at them disrespecting.
Yeah, they're kind of just mulling around, but then we cut to Lagan playing with Aquaman's kid, which we first meet him, and then we also see that Lagan is now with Coral after she leaves the meeting as well, and she is pregnant as well with his kid. Another cute little scene of Mira is off because she's about to go and talk to her father, or they keep calling Arthur Orin, which I guess is
no. Orin is the king. Arthur's the kid. Or Arthur.
Arthur Curry is Aquaman's name.
No. Here when I say
I know
Orange,
Junior. Yeah, I know. I'm saying
I know. That's the name.
I was just saying that it was weird that they keep referring to Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman, as Orin or King Orin or Annex Orin. But I'm saying it's Orin just his Atlantean name as opposed to Arthur, which was what his father called him.
But it's funny because their kid
is Arthur would be Junior. Yeah, Arthur Jr.
Yeah, so it's just so for the sake of this, Orin is the first Aquaman, and if you hear the name Arthur, we're gonna be referring to the kid that way.
Of course, but then we see as Mira's preparing to go see her father and deal with that nonsense. We see Delphise from last season, one of the kids. I want to call them Inhumans. One of the metas created by the Lights schemes. Remember, she had underwater powers like lights and sea breathing powers is her basis. Mm-hmm. She's hanging out with Wind and Cal, just kind of chilling out with them, living with their family, just seeing how everything is. Also, we forgot to mention that. What's his name's father is on the council. Cal's father.
Oh yeah, Cal's father, which is
we find out in the next scene. We'll find out the actual origins of father.
Right, yeah, but I just we did actually get a name drop. Calvin Durham.
Yeah, but before that, we see after Delphise is hanging out with Wind and Cal, we see Superboy back in some kind of he wakes in some kind of weird. Ghostly dimension.
Yeah, a weird off-colored, very he's transparent and stuff like that. And he's wait a minute, what's going on here? Sees unconscious girl that he doesn't know, which if you've been following us, you find out it's what do they call her? Phantom Girl?
Phantom Girl, yes.
Yeah, and he just Phantom Girl unconscious right in front of him, and he's like, "Who are you? I don't know you."
And he says he saw her on Mars. He saw her right before the explosion.
Well, right, but he doesn't really remember. He's just wait a minute. And so he finds out that it's oh, I cannot touch her. Why can I not do this?
Yeah, he's the ground seems solid enough. Why can I stand on the ground but I can't pick her up? And he's like, are we dead? It's some kind of weird Kryptonian afterlife or something? This is bizarre. then we go back to Poseidonus as Delphis is just shocked at the huge amount of wealth in Poseidonus and how it's not really distributed to the lower class people or the outside people. And she marked that this is how it was for her in Mumbai, which we finally find out where she's actually from. And then this is when they go to the bar and they meet Lori, who's a mermaid. I didn't realize in the first scene like what the hell her like difference between the race of her and the other humanoid Atlanteans was. But yeah, she's like her lower. She's a mermaid on the lower half, and she's part of the council. And then she's like, "Hey, they're talking," and then I don't know. Does King Shark and them come in because like somebody comes in and she makes on a wind.
Yeah, well, Lori is like happy to see Kaldur. Is introduced to Delphis, who she's happy to see, but then for some reason she turns over and is like extremely cold to wind, as if like we're talking like as if they were dating and something happened and they broke up. Like she is very angry with him, but then you find out it's because he was
loyal to Orm, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting little backstory for Wind.
Right? Yeah, he was one of those purists, but you hear Wind being like, hey. Look, I get it. I made some mistakes, and I'm hoping that I can prove to you that I can actually be better. And, she's like, well, Kaldur loves you, so I guess there's a little hope. And then King Shark is a shark.
Hell yeah. He comes in, he's a huge dickhead to Lori, he's a dickhead to everybody. He's just like, being rude and just saying, hey, man, like, we gotta be tough, you gotta have strength, and I don't think our Orin or you guys have the strength anymore. He's not even Aquaman. And then we see him trying to get into Lori's face and about to start a fight, but Cal just breaks it up immediately, like literally like punches the shit out of him with his like magic and just like, hey, no fighting in the bar. It's very, very cool. And then they mentioned that they were all schoolmates together.
This is when he drops that tidbit, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very curious if that was like a scene in the first part or like in one of the comics.
It might have been, but we'll have to look back into that. But in the meantime... But this is
when we see cut to Happy Harbor.
Yep, where we see Violet waits
staring at they're like staring at the brother leaving Gabrielle's family's house.
Correct. And once he leaves, Violet walks over and knocks on the door, and Medea answers
Gabrielle's
the door.
mother.
Yeah, Gabrielle's mother, yes. And
they mentioned that they have visas allowing them to stay in Happy Harbor because of all the crazy stuff going on in Karakin over there. That they have visas from Donna Troy, which I was like, yeah, that's a nice little thing. The mom says, like, oh, you just missed your brother. And then Violet's like, oh, did I? Oh, that's crazy. But like the viewer can kind of see that she kind of, Violet kind of did that on purpose, kind of like waited for the brother to leave before they went in. The mom talks about how that she was a former doctor, but now she was like an ophthalmologist, but now she just sells sunglasses on the beach, and it's like a true difficulty of moving there. It's like from another country and your like credentials not funny. I've heard a lot of stories of like the same thing happening, but Violet then mentions like, hey, I was curious about Islam. It meant a lot to Gabrielle, and I was curious how that could work for me, and I just wanted to talk to the family about how that all works out. Which we saw Gabrielle mention in the previous, like, I think maybe the first part or so, when they were having their conversation with Black Canary, the therapy session.
Right.
That they mentioned that they want to study Islam to see what Gabrielle saw in it.
Yeah, right. And then after Medea is like, yeah, I'll help you out with anything you want to ask. We cut back to Poseidonus, where this weird chubby man came, and King Orin is like, wait a minute, your dad sent this guy? This guy was all he could muster? And, Mara's like, it's the best we could do. At least it's better than no one.
Yep. They politic and disagree about the wealth disparity in Poseidonus as opposed to the other nations. Nineveh talks about how the humans and the surface worlders continue to pollute the oceans and they continue to destroy the krill that the Nineveh people rely on. And how, like, yeah, they're continuing to destroy this, and it's just like a huge argument about what's going on, and they're just like, politicking and disagreeing about how to run the seven seas. This is when we cut back to Connor for a bit. He's like, okay, well, I feel like I'm alive. I have a heartbeat, and so does this intangible girl. So there must be some way. The ground works, so maybe it's a matter of belief. If I believe that she's alive and I can touch her, then I could maybe lift her up. And then we see that this does actually work, and he is able to lift up Phantom Girl.
Yep. And then meanwhile,
you see the landscape is a whole bunch of giant floating rocks as he like looks out and says, "Okay, well, I guess I gotta fucking get moving. I have no idea. I can't stay here all day."
and that's when he deems her with the nickname of Ghosty.
Ghosty. Yeah, he's like, if you know me, you know I'm terrible at naming. He's just like what's it, Wolf and Sphere and all the other shitty names he's come up with
the season. Well, hey, I mean, it's better than Coma Girl, right?
Yeah, I guess.
But then
Ghosty.
we cut back to Violet, who is like, okay, who's helping, chop up vegetables, and she's like, okay, look, I guess my first question would be about the hijab, and I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, hijab. Yeah, and they say, well, they kind of the writers kind of dance around. It's just a reminder of their faith, and that's the real reason that they do it, because it means a lot to them. The mother compares it to the superhero cowls and the symbols and the stuff that they wear, and she then mentions that she knows that Violet is Halo, and Violet's like, "Oh, what do you mean?" And she's like, "No, I can tell. Come on, I recognize Gabrielle anywhere. Of course, I recognize that you're Halo." Violet then questions if, like, well, she asks if she actually is a woman or not, as we see in like the hijab is what they use, and they're very confused about how to do this and what they should do, and they continue to ask like, okay, I guess I'll just keep the hijab because that's what Gabrielle meant something to her, I suppose. Back underwater, the climate change issue is to continue to be brought up as like still in our time it's fucking destroying the community underwater.
Yeah, they really do a jab at that.
Oh yeah, and this is when we learned about Calvin Durham was a subordinate of Black Manta, which is, I just wanted to point out the the original old 70s and 80s actual scheme of Black Manta, which I mentioned way back when we first met Cal, and when Cal took up the mantle of Black Manta for a bit, that he wanted to take the underwater seas and oceans for Black people, and then Calvin being his dad, 100%, it's just like, oh shit, actually was the plan. it's very funny.
Yeah.
And none of it points out
that was hilarious.
And this kind of confirms it with Calvin being a subordinate of his that he just got into the gang with. And then none of it points out like, hey, you fucking stole his kid, you stole his woman, like you fucking really cucked Black Manta. Calvin's like, hey man, that was my past. I'm a different man now. I have a happy family, and I'm his real father. And like Cal also agrees, like, yeah, it doesn't matter who my biological father is. Calvin is my father.
And of course, one of the other members is like, oh, of course. Because how could this nobody make it to the table if he's not the father of the great Caldor? And everyone's like, dude, what a dick. And of course he's like, hey, I meant no disrespect. Sorry about that. I did go out of line.
And this is when Durham says, well, yes, this is Poseidonus, and they do need to share their wealth. He also agrees that like this is not how things should be run. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Orm attacks. Ocean Master is blasting them with the trident of Orion again, as they're suddenly, like, the whole council is being blown up. Connor, back with him, thinks that it might, like, he thinks, like, okay, is this a Kryptonian afterlife? Oh, this is when he gets the ghosty name, I think, because this is in my notes. This is when she.
Oh, right, yeah, and this is when he also finds an infrared, like, line.
Yeah, he uses his infrared vision and sees a heat trail. And he decides he's going to follow that out. Back with the main story, we see Ocean Master is far too powerful with the trident. He is really handily beating everyone's asses and just completely destroying everyone with this trident. And this is when we see Lagan's wife, Coral, who's also in the council, is like injured. And we see a man come through her that's not Lagan saying like, oh, my wife's over there. She's in trouble. I got to save her. And then we see like a mysterious, as they continue to blast and try to fight off Orm as best they can, a mysterious hooded figure underwater appears and just easily destroys Ocean Master, like blasts him away and like completely destroys his shit.
And everyone's like, who is that man?
Yeah, who is this mysterious man? Back with Violet, they say that they want to learn more about Islam and their Abrahamic God. Because that they had met a god before, Granny Goodness, the new gods, and the mom says like, oh well, if the person was evil, then they're not gods, or they're not really gods, or
right?
Whatever.
Because like God has 99 names in Islam?
Yeah, 99 names, and there's like all these different things about different forms of it. And then the guy goes like, okay, well, yeah, what's up with the Granny Goodness then? Uh, Back in Poseidonus, Mira then, after they're rescued by this mysterious man, and is Orm captured or
No.
no? Orm flees. Orm flees.
Yeah.
He
Orm
fled.
flees, and everyone's just like, "Wow, this is Like this is crazy. Like, who was that mysterious man?" And
Yeah, and then
Mara
Mira mentions a prophecy.
something about a prophecy. You hear a guitar sting in the background.
Yeah,
And Oren's
and
like, well, we're gonna talk about that later. Right now,
King Shark's like, that mysterious man. He's a real leader. He has real power. He's really cool. And then, like, yeah, the person, Ocean Master, goes back to the Dandith in that crevice, pulls off his helmet, revealing that it is actually Orm. It's not somebody else wearing the mantle. This is Orm. And he kind of just, like, pulls his helmet off and says, all right, Dandith, we need to figure out who that person is.
And, of course, Dandith is like, oh, don't worry, we'll get him, my prince. He's like, no, it's Ocean Master. Dun, dun, dun. Things that we already know.
Yeah.
Cut to the end credits.
Yeah, very cute scene of Violet and Harper having a conversation at a table where, like, Violet's kind of just, like, being very frank, and they're just kind of, like, explaining everything that they're gone through and how they feel about themselves. Harper's kind of just, like, sitting there, ADHD, like, twitching, not stopping. Just, like, they're having a normal conversation, but it's a weird little nice cute detail of, like, Harper's, like, going crazy with just, like, ADHD energy. But then this is when Violet says that since they don't feel like really a woman, and the mother box really didn't have a gender either, that they're going to go with they, them pronouns. And Harper's saying, hey, I'm really proud of that for you. I really care about you and I want you to be happy. Which is a very nice little button on the episode, and currently a little button on Violet's story for now.
Yep.
Now, yeah, of course, in this episode, we apologize if we misgendered Violet, because you should go, even in referring to them in the past, you should refer to the person as their preferred pronouns. So yeah, it's going to be difficult with Violet, because there's so many different forms between Halo and Gabrielle and Violet and the Mother Box. They're a very complicated character to try to even
they
mildly
really
interpret.
are. But fortunately, they were able to, like, the writers and stuff were able to go through their story in a way that still kind of made sense, even though it is still very complicated.
Yeah. I was saying that there's not too many, even with modern times and the the new interpretation of that kind of thing. There's not too many non-binary characters in shows even now still. I only can think of a couple of examples, but they're mostly the character I made way back in 2013 or so with our original Pokemon tabletop adventure boss, who I never really used specific pronouns for. Was one of the it's really hard to do that for people whenever you don't have that. But actually, in animation wise, did you watch Owl House yet?
Owl House?
Yeah.
I do need to re-up on it, because I think I got halfway through season 1 when I first started watching it, but then I didn't have a Disney Plus, and I still don't have one yet, but I do need to re-up it.
Okay. I was saying because there was the second half does introduce a character who was Ida's love interest and partner in the past, and they are non-binary, and they do use they them pronouns, and the person is genderly ambiguous, so it's just a very interesting take for that character. And another thing I always mention, because I always bring it up whenever something like this really comes up, I think I mentioned it probably on the podcast years and years ago, Lloyd in Space. Did you ever watch that show?
No, I did not.
Okay. It tied into the Digimon episode of Movie Garbage, where we talked about a bunch of old ABC Kids Saturday Morning and all the kinds of things. Lloyd in Space had a very specific episode about, the show takes place in space, and it's a school, an intergalactic school with all these different alien races and stuff like that. They get a new kid, and none of the people can tell the gender of the kid, and they keep referring to them as they, them, even though this is way back in 2000 or 2001 or something like that. It's years, decades ago. They weren't sure the gender of the person. And so the entire episode is the boys and the girls of the school trying to figure out the gender of this character. And eventually at the end it's revealed that they don't have a gender. And upon their 13th or 16th or whatever birthday, they choose a gender. If they want, and then the episode ends with the person going into a room, coming out looking the exact same, still completely ambiguous, and they're okay, so are you a boy or a girl? And it's well, I guess you just have to wait till I have a crush on some of you guys, and then they kind of walk off and the episode ends. But it's interesting to have you don't really see too many non-binaries
representation
and stuff.
It's true, you really don't. And in one of our previous episodes, the best example of very non-binary. Uh, oh crap! I just blanked on the name. I think Double Trouble from
Yeah, they're
She-Ra.
great.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
are the essence of very non-binary.
I honestly, that's probably the person we were referencing when I brought up the Loaded Space episode last time.
Yeah,
But
right.
yeah, they are fantastic. They're the effing best. One of the best characters in television, I swear.
Okay,
the other thing
yeah,
I wanted to
agree.
talk about is okay. So yeah, that's like the fun or the interesting, social topic. Other thing I wanted to talk about. What the fuck is Orm doing here?
Okay, no. There's a
Yeah.
logical explanation for this, and it goes all the way back to Adam West Batman. Surprisingly enough.
Oh yeah.
So, especially because apparently there was an interview with Adam West and Cesar Romero, because Cesar Romero was the Joker, right? And I
Yeah.
think one of the comic creators was there too. I can't remember, but anyway, but it's one of those long-term stories that, if you're going to have a hero, you've got to have their villain. With Batman, you have to have Joker. With Superman, you have to have Lex Luthor, because let's be honest, he's like the main one, even though Darkseid, I guess, technically would be one.
And Doomsday and a whole bunch of others. Yeah.
Right. It gets complicated, but the main one is Lex Luthor. So with Aquaman, or Orin in this case, you have to have his brother, Orm, because he's like the main villain of Aquaman.
I think Black Manta's more his main villain, but okay.
No, look. A lot of people, it's complicated with superheroes because of there's so many villains now. Like, with Superman, we're not even going to discuss Batman because we have a whole lot of that rogues gallery. But with with freaking Wonder Woman, look at all the villains there in that story. Or like we were just talking about Superman. Lex Luthor, yeah, but you also have Doomsday. You also have Toy.
Is this preamble going somewhere, Ben?
No, what I'm saying is, you're like, what the fuck is Orm doing here? It's literally just that. You cannot have Aquaman without Orm.
He got his fucking head cut off.
Apparently
we
not.
saw him get his fucking head cut off.
Apparently
on
not.
screen.
Apparently he didn't.
He literally got his head chopped the fuck off.
Apparently not, if he's still alive.
I just like that. That was hilarious to me because it was so like, what the fuck? Because this show is so wildly internally consistent. This was like a huge like, what the fuck is going on? And like I think the show aired really. I don't know if it like dumped the whole season on HBO Max or whichever Netflix or whichever one had the show at the time. But I can't imagine what the hell the actual like internet was going through during that time, because it just made me think of funny, even comedic, like inexplicable character non-deaths that happened. Did you ever see Scary Movie?
Oh, like the first one?
Yeah.
It's been a long time, but yeah.
Okay. The killers at the end, of course, just like Scream, there's two killers, and they both die at the end of the movie. But then in the second movie, one of those characters is just like around and a friend of the group again. It's just like completely chill, that character being part of the team. And like there's been recently in year, like only a couple months ago, there was a scene released of like the character said, "Oh my God, Ray, what the hell are you doing here? You're a villain. What the hell?" And they like try to like about to attack him. And he says, "You guys, it's the sequel." And they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, never mind that."
I'm kind of glad they did not put that in the second one, because it's funnier just to see him there.
Yeah, just have him pop up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another funny example is the Batman Return to the Joker movie. Do you remember what happened to Harley Quinn in that movie?
Wait. You're talking about Batman Beyond?
The Batman Beyond. Yeah. Beyond.
Oh, didn't she just become an old lady?
Oh, well, what do you mean? In the flashback when they finally confront Joker and he dies, Harley Quinn falls from like the top of a building. No parachute, no security, no anything.
Oh, right. And
dies.
then, and then at the very end you find out that she's actually alive.
And the Dee Dee's grandmother. It's just like, well, okay, how'd that happen? And then another funny example in American Dad, a scene where Jeff, Haley's husband, is like killed and like drowns in a pool, and like Stan sees it. And then later he kind of just like walks on screen and Stan's like, "Oh my God, Jeff, I thought you drowned." He said, "Nope." And you're like, all right. And then they continue with the plot. It's like nothing happened.
Yeah,
That's what it feels like with
Matt,
this fucking
Matt,
Orm
Matt,
reveal.
Matt,
Yeah.
this is the problem with you detail-oriented people. It's
Yeah,
always
okay.
it's always the little details you worry about. You know,
Yeah, you're right.
consistency and all that pshaw.
And waving, who cares? What do you mean? That's fine.
But Matt.
Yeah.
First off, I actually forgot he got beheaded on screen.
Yeah, by fucking Lady Shiva. When he had that insane plan about blowing up all the superheroes' kids.
Yeah, no, you're right. And see that first off, that tells you just how important Ocean Master is to me.
Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah, secondly, but yeah, I actually forgot that he was the guy behind the killing the kids. And Lady Shiva was also like, yeah, no.
Yeah, just cut his fucking head off.
That's hilarious.
And he's just back now. It's like, what the fuck?
And Matt, you know what makes me sad?
Yeah.
You made me sit here and literally bullshit you about some interview that never happened.
Yeah, well, we gotta keep the episode, the podcast fresh. Yeah, I can't believe you forgot he was fucking
anyway,
dead.
No, but I legitimately forgot that happened. And then you mentioned the beheading. I'm like, oh shit, you're right. He did actually die.
He directly died. He was all crazy and homeless and greasy and like camped out with a sniper rifle across the fucking thing with his trident and ready to blow up the building.
I don't know, Matt. I don't know. He may be part jellyfish. He might have just grew a new one.
Yeah. Maybe that explains it.
Wait. I can't say that. That's racist.
Probably, yes. Whatever the hell jellyfish-like people are.
Anyway, but, Matt.
Yeah.
Was there anything else? Any other tangents?
Really, that's not enough. We already spent like half the episode was description, like talking about this, the insanity of this. But yeah, non-binary representation is wonderful. And Orm, what the fuck? How this even happened?
Yeah. Like gender identity is amazing, and consistency in this show is bullshit. Next question.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This insanely detail-oriented, wonderful show has suddenly just decided to hand wave. No. Orm's fine. He got better.
But
he got better from his head being cut off.
We need Orm because Aquaman. Therefore, he's alive. Why?
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is Ben talking about? All right, let's get on to the next episode. Maybe they'll explain it in the next episode, which of course is episode 15. Ebb Tide.
We start
Bibbo's
off
Diner in Metropolis.
At good old Bibbo's, where we see Clark Kent reading the Daily Planet, having a coffee. When we see two strangers who are not Saturn Girl and Chameleon Boy walk up and be like, "Hey, Superman, we need to talk." And of course, Clark's like, "Oh, you're confused. My name is Clark Kent." And Chameleon Boy just rolls his eyes, transforms into his like actual form because Bibbo's not even paying attention. It's like, okay, look, we know that who you are, and also we need your help.
Yep.
And we cut the intro, and then back to Poseidonus, where Matt,
Cal and Garth, the previous Aqualad in the other universe, talk to Arthur about like, okay, so there's no sight of Orm. We have no idea where the hell he went. And this random act of violence is not Orm's MO at all. So this is very bizarre. It's too random. And he says, yeah, he was in prison for 6 years, and now he's back and just does this random attack that makes no fucking sense. What's going on? We see, also you said he escaped from prison at some point. Zebel is continuing to be difficult. They discuss that King Nereus is continuing to be a huge piece of shit, and just a huge thorn in everybody's side. Aquaman, Arthur says no one is ever happy with any decision he makes. Back when he was with the Justice League, they said he didn't spend enough time underwater, and now that he's fully underwater as a king, they're saying that he's not sharing the wealth, and he's not doing that very well either. So he has no idea what the hell is supposed to be going on, or what decision he's supposed to be making. Connor continues to leap around the weird ghostly dimension so with the ghosty, the girl, as he looks up in the sky and says like, hey, there's a weird giant rock almost about to hit me. Oh my god. And he almost gets hit by it. And then we see a weird giant Dunkleosteus looking monster just kind of like swimming around in the water in the sky. He's like, oh shit,
I'm sorry.
about this.
A big what?
Dunkleosteus is that fish, like it's like a very famous prehistoric, like giant fish with that face like that. It's called a Dunkleosteus.
Gotcha. Sorry, when you just randomly drop like a dinosaur name, I'm just like, I beg pardon.
It's like one of the most famous like fossils that you see everywhere whenever you go to the thing, those big giant cool shell, weird shellfish things. Back with the Poseidonus, Mira is still on about the prophecy, saying that some serious man. He fulfills the prophecy. He was able to stop him. He has immense power. What could all this be? They go to the Tablet of the Widowhood to try to figure out the truth. And it mentions that there are, 3 labors. The seas will turn red, and with the help of 3 others, they'll turn it back. And then, Arian's crown, which my fucking notes autocorrected to Arizona crown.
Dude,
iced tea, alcohol, I guess.
Arizona iced tea. Arizona crown. It's Arizona tea and Crown Royal.
Hell yeah, that sounds delicious.
That sounds gross.
The Aryan crown will pick the leader out of the 3 who save the sea. He'll have immense power. He'll be able to wield the trident. He'll turn the Red Seas back to normal. Arthur thinks that this is Orm false flagging some kind of stupid scheme. He's like, okay, this seems like Orm's like staged that attack. He kind of lost it really easily. Maybe he's just trying to hype this guy up. Maybe this guy's like a minion of his. What the fuck is going on? We see that the Widowhood, she's going to seek the Widowhood out and see what they say thing about like tracking this man down and seeing what they should do about him. The Widowhood, I guess, just like the magic witches of Atlantis underwater.
Yeah, it must be.
Delphes continues to hang out with Wind. And feels
Caldor,
yeah, just like continues to hang out, like, okay, guys, just like always spending our time with them. Cal's talking to his parents about how they're concerned that he's doing too much and doing too much activities between the Aquaman stuff and the being a leader and the being the king's right hand and all kinds of shit like that. He just needs to take a break, but he just refuses to. He says, no, there's still too much to do. They talk about the difficulties raising him when this is when he goes more into the details of his time as Black Manta's minion and his time, like when he left, he got the son, he was raising him, the difficulty, he was, in and out of the gang, and then trying to help in like how he got picked up he became a squire to the king, and just all of Cal's backstory, which you haven't gotten for the last 3 seasons.
Right, yeah. We're pretty much like Caldor pretty much had to be the adult even when he was a kid because, mom was going through literal depression, dad was joining a gang, but because of him being like the adult in the room, they finally got their act together and everything, and they're just like, look, we get it, you're always the adult, but why don't you just relax and be you? And then immediately Caldor gets a call like, hey, it's something big, you gotta see this. So when Cal goes over where Wind and them are, they see a giant fire pillar in the middle of the city.
Yeah, where have we seen that before? Just as that's going down, we cut to Superman flying up to where Chameleon Boy and Saturn Girl are and saying, hey, my friend Clark told me that you guys wanted to talk to me, and then they're kind of like, yeah, okay. And this is to kind of break down the entirety of what the fuck was happening in the first arc of this whole season. They say that they have a time sphere, they're from the future. It was broken, and they lost their partners, Chameleon Girl, in the attack on Mars. They were there trying to protect them.
Dude.
Yeah?
They lost their partner, Phantom Girl, not Chameleon Girl.
Yeah, Chameleon Girl. They lost Phantom Girl when the ship exploded and Connor was killed. They didn't find a body, but they don't know where it is. And so, yeah, they're from the future. They're from the Legion. They're really being really heroic regarding, Connor and all that kind of shit, and they need his help. And they say, wait a second, how did you guys get here if your ship was destroyed? And then it's revealed, Bioship is here.
Da-da-da-da! Meanwhile, back in Poseidonus, Mira is actually trying to... it's trying to stop
octopus.
This. With a giant octopus. You see, for a quick second, you see Dr. Fate join, and then immediately leave. Gee, where have we seen that before?
Yeah, what's happening there? I don't know.
Yep.
You see, the huge... Yeah, King Shark is kind of trying to help them as well. Connor... then fights like a giant fish monster. But they can't. Oh no, he's back with Connor. Right? So they a quick scene of Mira trying to close the pillar, and then back to Connor trying to fight the giant fish monster that's floating around, but he can't seem to touch it, and they keep slashing him up.
Yep. And then as that's happened, and then he also sees that this giant whatever this is supposedly fall on air quote ghosty.
Yeah, he's like, oh, Ghosty. Back in the main thing, this is when they finally mention that, okay, they clarify that this specifically right now is during the attack by the child. They say a powerful Chaos Lord, more powerful than Clarion, is currently attacking. We need to try to, we need to try to stop this pillars from appearing all over the world. We see a whale, like, they're saying, evacuate all the citizens of Poseidon. Let's get everyone the fuck out of here. We see like a big old whale man named Blubber kind of trying to swim away. His Lagon's like, oh my god, my friend Blubber, we gotta rescue him. He's trying to swim away from the pillar that's causing like a huge amount of red poisonous smoke to flood this whole area. Orn, aka Aquaman, aka Arthur, does manage to save the guy, but this is when they continue to be, they try to figure out what the fuck to do with this. As they see the pillar, we see Orm actually looking on as the pillar is being, like, destructive and kind of like looking over, like, oh, I gotta figure out what the fuck to do with this shit. I gotta have help or something.
Meanwhile, we go back in Metropolis with Superman and them. It's like, oh, why didn't you start off with Bioship? And the Legionnaires are like, okay, yeah, sorry, but anyway, Superboy was great and everything. Connor was amazing. But now that he's dead, we need you to be Superboy. We can't explain anything, but we need you to be in Happy Harbor 10 years from now at noon exactly. We cannot give you any more details than this. In fact, we're actually, risking a lot just telling you this much. But you need to do this. And Superman's like, I can certainly try. And then immediately, Black Lightning's like, hey, you need to come to Agra right now at the Taj Mahal. We need your help right now. And of course, duty calls.
Yeah, it's the child attacking there as well. And the Legion says, okay, well, do you think he did it? And then a Chameleon Boy kind of looks down for a second and says, well, we're still here, so obviously it didn't fucking work for whatever reason. We need to figure out another way to figure out, the time stream didn't change. Maybe things are too changed. We can't fix the time stream now. No, we got to figure out another way. He must have failed something. Something must have happened. This is when we see Orm back underwater. He goes to help Poseidonus. And they're saying, oh, what the hell, you monster? We don't trust you. And he's like, no, with both of our powers combined, we can actually stop this stupid pillar. And he actually joins Amira in the bubble. They're like a whole bunch, transitioning bubbles and all kinds of Cal reinforcing it, all kinds of magic fights trying to contain this weird pillar. Back with Superboy, he continues to fight, or try to fight the weird fish monster, but it does not work. And he's getting more and more pissed off and angry about it, but it's not seeming to have any effect on the girl who's unconscious. So then he realizes it first out of nowhere, oh my god, it must be tracking my rage. So he must calm his mind. And so he thinks about memories of McGann and just all his time in peaceful times and his marriage and all this things, happiness. And he just kind of calms down, and then the weird monster kind of just gets unpissed off and then swims away. And this is when he's like, okay, well, I guess we can't follow that trail. I don't know where the hell we're going now.
Meanwhile, back at the pillar, Orm and Mara are having a bit of a difficult time with it. But as this is all happening, Mara starts reciting the prophecy, and we see a third beam appear because random stranger appeared and is actually helping a lot. And not only is the pillar getting contained very well and actually shrinking, but the red water starts dissipating.
Yeah, they actually start to shrink it down. As they say, okay, well, with all three of us, we actually managed to seal the portal and destroy this. And of course, as they all predicted, Orm immediately attacks them as soon as it's gone.
But fortunately, after knocking out Kaldur, Ocean Master's like, all right, time to finally... Mysterious man stops him, takes his trident, and Orm's like, how dare you? I'll get you for this, He-Man. Random man, and then leaves. No, tries to leave, but then this is when he Arthur, finally gets captured and goes to prison again.
Yep, they finally detain him once more. And while holding the trident, the mysterious man kind of hands it off to Miro, saying, "Here, you take this." And it's like, "What the hell? You're able to wield the trident? It didn't destroy you? You must be the true king. What? You're powerful. Who are you?"
No. At first,
they say, "Who are you?"
Like,
After he hands it to
yeah,
Miro.
who are you? You're really strong. And he finally, after a few reluctant, "Nah, you don't need to know me," he actually reveals himself to be Arion, the first Atlantean, like the actual founder of Atlantis, and, as he calls himself, the failure of Atlantis.
But the people cheer as they continue, like, "Oh my god, he did it." This one, we get a quick scene of Jay Garrick in Central City, kind of leaving his house, tired old man, retired Flash, kind of leaving. But as they're doing that, we see the Legion come and visit Kid Flash.
And they're just like, "We need to talk." And then we go to the end credit scene where we see Vandal and his daughter just standing
Cassandra.
in Warworld. Yeah, thank you, Cassandra.
Yep, they're talking about the child being finally defeated. Has Simon prepared the Cybax? And yes, they're all prepared. Okay, good. But now we need to focus on Project 3ness. And that's where the episode ends.
That's pretty much how it ends right there. And Project 3ness, huh?
Oh, what could that possibly be? So this episode, obviously, a trope that I hate and I really dislike. Like, I know you have your things that we'll talk about later, that like tropes that you don't like, but one I really dislike is prophecy plot lines. I think that they are very, very lazy and like silly. And like, I don't mind the other aspect would be like a time travel thing. I don't mind that, but like, whenever it's specifically like, "Oh my god, they're part of the prophecy," and I'm just like immediately like, ugh, that's so cliche and lame and lazy.
You see,
it's like it's so weird and like just nonsensical.
I agree with you,
Mm-hmm.
only because there, like, when everyone says like a prophecy in any capacity, it's always like, they read the prophecy. And they just it just has to be that way because they don't try to break it or anything, which is why it's so difficult for me to like prophecy, like prophetic tropes, because it 9 out of 10 times always ends up like, okay, this is exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's boring and predictable most of the time.
Which is why when done correctly. And you probably will remember, you're going to have to dig a little deeper for this one, which is why when it's done correctly, I really like it. My case in point for this one is, you remember way back yonder when we did our Christmas special on Star Wars Visions, the first season?
Yeah.
The last episode, I think it was the last episode, where the one Jedi had like visions of someone that he loved getting hurt, and he went and he followed it, and you find out, because we don't know, it's like having a vision. It's pretty much like a Jedi prophecy, pretty much, when you have a vision like that. But then it turns out that everything that was going on was for him to turn into the dark side, and they don't reveal that until it's already at the end. That's when you do it correctly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the twist is always nice, but like I was gonna say, that Star Wars specifically is one of the most like egregious examples of like shitty prophecy things, because like another one of the specific like aspects of prophecy things would be like dreaming of things to come is a trope of prophecy things, and that's something that like Star Wars has used a shit ton in a ton of media, specifically Clone Wars uses that very lazy plot thing a ton of times, where like someone will see a prophecy, they'll try to make it not happen, and then or intentionally make it happen very like sillily. They love using that over and over again.
But see, that's what I mean. But like, because like, Star Wars has done it
great
a
in
lot.
that. Yeah, in Visions that was great, but like in other, like when it's used like in Rebels or in Clone Wars, it's usually like a really shitty, lazy plot thing to happen. And also, the main prophecy of the Chosen One was always a very dumb aspect of the original trilogy. The dumb aspect of what the fuck was it? The prequels. With like Anakin and shit was very dumb and not clear.
Well, see,
and like, it did it actually happen? Was it him? Was it Luke? Or was it Rey? Who the fuck was that even like supposed to be about? Okay. It was never.
But Matt.
Of course, also personally wise. Oh yeah. What Ben?
Well, like, okay, look, I just used Star Wars as an example of
I was gonna bring up Star Wars before you even did,
one
though.
instance when the prophecy like thing is actually good. Ultimately, like that's when you do the prophecy correctly, like that trope. But like the prophecy trope is so overused and it's so predictable because everyone has like tunnel vision when it's like this is a, which is why another thing that I like another media that uses the prophecy trope correctly, and I say prophecy loosely, but all I have to do is use two words and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, future vision.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah,
That's a fun thing though, because Garnet never mentions what the hell it is or how it works or what like specifically she sees, and she just like sees a bunch of possibilities, and like it could just be like a hyper analytical thing where she can like see multiple paths of different futures depending on what the person's actions are in front of her, which is also that's very very fun and very cool. That's a fun utilization of that.
Well, right, yeah, and it's technically
Yeah.
like a prophecy thing, but they twisted it to a point where it's like it's exactly like the actual future. There are many there are many daughters head boy, but like depending on what you do, that's like you can actually follow that thing rather than just being like hey, by the way, this is gonna happen, these three things are gonna happen, and you're gonna crown someone king.
Yeah, and of course, like there's usually always some kind of twist or kind of like different interpretation of it, which is always can be sometimes interesting, like in Brave or in Frozen, where like they subvert Disney tropes or what the person's talking about to actually have like actual plot twists. Is very fun, but 9 times out of 10, it's very dumb and uninteresting. I'll say one of the few examples that I enjoy it because it's actually like a well utilized plot thing would be the Percy Jackson series. In the books, the way that any of the heroes ever get a quest is that the Oracle will give them some kind of weird, vague, metaphor-filled prophecy, and like they know that they need to do it, and like they'll know that something will happen, and like it usually does happen that way, but it's always much different than they expected, or it takes like years for it to actually happen over the course of the series, and it's always really like interestingly handled. That's probably like one of the few times I ever don't mind that like really shitty writing story contrivance of a prophecy. Like those things, like it's if they're utilized, of course, like anything that you don't like, if it's done well, it can be enjoyable. But it's usually not, and it's just usually a very lazy story thing that I really don't care for.
No, I get that. I get that.
Yeah, of course, the other thing I wanted to mention was a little bit with Chameleon Boy giving Clark something to do time travel wise, and then just like kind of standing there and saying like, "Well, I'm still here, so it obviously didn't work." Did you beat Kingdom Hearts 3?
Yeah, I've beaten Kingdom Hearts 3.
The Master of Masters. Actually, no, it's not that. It's in the movie. It's in the Kingdom Hearts Dark Cross or whatever the hell the Key the X Blade movie thing based off the cell phone game series. Did you watch that movie?
Oh, are you talking about like all those cinematics?
No. It was a specific movie, 3D movie rendered specifically regarding to the cell phone game thing, like made for Kingdom Hearts collection.
Okay, I think I did. What part are you bringing up?
The Master of Masters takes out the eye, puts it in the Oblivion Keyblade, which is the one that we see throughout all of the whole series, and he says, "Okay, this is my eye, apprentice, and I have the ability to see anything at all time that's happening whenever someone pulls my eye, this Keyblade out. So here you go, my child. Take this forward, give it to your apprentice, have your apprentice give it to their apprentice, and pass this down all the way to the future. And if it works, I'll be able to write down all my prophecies." And then the kid's like, takes the Keyblade. He's like, "Well, how do I know if it works?" And then the old man says, "Well, I mean, it's working right now. The fact it worked, I know it because I can see the future right now." And like it's like a really fun little cool time travel thing that also like explains the weird prophecies in the Kingdom Hearts series, which are actually absolutely insane. But like this little time travel thing of this, like, I know it's gonna work, and I know you did it, and I know you succeeded because I can see it in the future, and that you already have done it. It's like one of those really cool stories.
Yeah, no, I did like that where it's just like, here you go, have my, because I do remember what you're talking about now. Yeah, it's just like, here it is. Then just keep doing what you're supposed to, and everything's gonna work. It's not gonna work. Like, how are you even gonna know? You'll be dead by then. Except for I already know the future. There,
Yeah,
see?
it's already worked. Yeah, I already know it's succeeding because it's working right now. And then, that's a whole other fucking tangent. I'm probably going to cover that maybe in a special something like that because, like, those cell phone games, the plots in, like, the 3 different games that there are like, more insane than the 12 main games in the series. I watched, like, a 4-hour video on it, yeah?
Matt,
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts lore in general is worse than the fucking Hyrule Historia with all of their fucking plot hole
It's
bullshits.
the best. There's no plot holes in Kingdom Hearts. It all makes sense. Now let's move on to the next episode.
You're not gonna ask me a question after the episode?
We just had a discussion about prophecy and time travel.
Yeah, but you said that was your tropes you didn't like.
Oh, no. I said I'll bring it up. They will actually, in this next episode, I already have a bullet point in my discussions about something that I know you hate that I'm never going to talk about.
Let's see. Let's see if I remember. But yeah, like you said, let's get to it.
All right. Let's get to episode 16. Emergency Dive.
We start off.
Baby meets Forager for the first time.
Yep, and Forager is like, I liked Bioship, I miss Bioship, but I'm happy for Baby. How is McGann? And, McGann admits, more lows than highs, but, getting a lot of support, a lot of casseroles, and Forager's sitting here like, okay, that's understandable. Have you met with Garfield yet?
Oh, yeah, before that, she mentions Emery has a new job, and she's also moving into the house with them. The team and the Kents and everyone else has been really, trying to help her get trot as opposed to distraught or whatever the hell one of their
it's kind of like being whelmed when you're overwhelmed.
Yeah, is that everyone's really trying to help, and then Forager mentions, hey, have you talked to Garth? And like, oh no, but I mean he has the team missions. He's probably busy with that with Perdita. Busy with everything else going on.
And then Forager's like, okay, he's not in the show. He hasn't been doing anything with the team, and he broke up with his girlfriend. You should probably see him.
Yeah.
And then that's when we cut to the intro, and then in Poseidonus, in the Science Center, we see Mara, King Orin, and 2 other guys, one of them being Blubber, are like trying to run tests on Arion. And Arion's just like, really? We're going to really do this right now? Come on. I can just say I lied about being called Arion, and it's like, no, look, all we need you to do is a little bit of magic, and that's all you got to do. Size, does an illusion magic. They like turn on a machine, and then they pretty much, they pretty much are like, we don't know what the test is saying.
Yeah, the results are inconclusive, but his magic is ancient. Also, they mentioned that it's been about a month now.
It's been a month since
since
between 2 episodes, it's literally been like a month. But
I guess that's since the arc with the child and then the following thing.
But then, even Orin is like, you know what? I don't want to admit it, but we do have all the evidence we can get, save for DNA. Blubber makes a joke about, well, we could find the crown and find hair follicles, and Mara's like, oh yeah, you do have your crown, don't you? Where is it? And Arion's like, so about that,
but they also mentioned that they could do the DNA thing was inconclusive, but his DNA did have traces of Savage and Cassandra's, Vandal Savage and Cassandra Savage. So meaning he could very likely be their relative because they're all tied together.
Right.
They mentioned that the crown was buried beneath Zebel almost 12 millennia ago. And they said, like, well, our excavators never found anything. It's like, well, yeah, all of your best excavation efforts probably couldn't even go down a millennium. And this is like 12 times that ago. So there's no way in hell you'd ever find the stupid crown.
Meanwhile,
Connor continues to be in the ghost dimension. Yeah.
Yep, the ghost dimension is that we're just calling it now. We're just
that's what I've been calling it.
We're just Danny Phantoming this.
Yeah, it's the ghost realm.
Oh yeah, anyway.
They're not dead people. They're just in another dimension.
Well, as Connor is carrying Phantom Girl, I'm just gonna call her by who she is. We all know who it is.
Because Ghosty sucks.
Yeah, because Connor's really bad at names. As he's leaping from like one rock to another, he hallucinates, 2 McGanns. One of them, like his soon to be wife, and the other one like a cheerleader version of her. Like you
From the
can do
Megan
it.
from the show, Hello Megan show. Yeah.
You're all right. And of course, Connor's like, wow, we're getting nowhere. But the McGann hallucination is just like, don't worry, you got this. And remember, I love you.
Yeah, as he continues to work harder just to get to her maybe one day. The Atlanteans, as my notes again, freaking abbreviated to ATLA, spelled like the Avatar abbreviation, Ians, as like the name Ian, cheer Arian, as he looks out on the crowd, like kind of like, oh hey, they're still cheering me. Wow, this is so annoying. I'm all this unneeded attention. And then Chion, his assistant, approaches him, saying, "The people want you to talk. They really are worried about you, and they want you to, announce that you're Aryan and you're the king and you're the rightful heir to the throne." And she says, like, the people in Zebel are rebelling. Everyone's really, going insane, and they really want you to, step out and say something. Regarding the people in Zebel, this is when they talk to Cal, saying, okay, we're going to send you to Zebel, and you're going to go to the Undersea, and you're going to try to find the crown so we can, try to prove that this guy is Aryan, or prove that Arthur, aka Aquaman, deserves to be the king. Back in Hollywood now, we see McGann trying to talk to Garfield, but he's just completely pissed about her trying to, get into his life again.
Yeah, right.
And she says she even called Perdita.
Yeah, he's like, how, like, really? You called her? And of course she's like, dude, we're really worried about you. I mean, you like, he's been doing like literally everything he can to just be like even separating from McGann at this point. But yeah, just like, it's just like
she mentions like, okay, you've had like, issues way before the stuff that happened on Mars. The hallucination didn't come out of anywhere. You have a lot of issues, and it could even be PTSD. And he says, oh, really? PTSD? You don't think I can handle it? Just like when Mom died, when Rita died, when the Doom Patrol died, when the Outsiders lost all their people. I've been through this before, and I can handle it. Just leave me alone, and I'll handle this my own way. But she's kind of like, no, I think you need help. This isn't working out. This is when we cut back to Lagan's family, him, his husband, and his wife. They don't want Lagan to leave, but they're saying, we trust you, we trust Cal, and we need you to look out for him, so Lagan, we're going to believe in you. Then we see Wind and Cal are actually fighting about the whole mission. Wind is demanding to go because Cal is working himself too hard, and he does need to relax, but he just keeps overworking himself. And then Delphi's kind of overhears, and she's like, oh, hey, I would love to go. And they're kind of like, no, you can't. You have to stay here, stay with my parents. We don't want you getting hurt. This is going to be a dangerous mission. Stay out of this, Delphis. And then back with Connor, he starts to see visions of, after he says says that all the McGann visions are getting kind of stale, and he then suddenly sees Wally, who's also appears as like a ghost like him and Phantom Girl, unlike the others who were like more solid. Connor says like, hey, or Wally says, hey, don't give up. We could just travel. We've traveled to the other dimensions before, man. We got this. You can just keep going. Just keep pushing yourself, and we can make it.
And then back in Poseidonus, we get like Orn actually visiting Orm. He's like, yeah, I already figured out that you're just trying to like lie about this whole prophecy thing. And Orm's like, what are you talking about? No, I don't even know who this guy is.
Yeah. And he says, yeah, you're full of shit. And Arthur talks about his past. He says, like, hey, man, Oren in the prison says, like, yeah, I know. I was here for the 6 years I was in the stupid prison. You visited me 16 times, and we always talked about our past, and I don't need you telling me my past. And then Arthur kind of like gets a look on his face like, what the fuck? And then swims off suddenly as he hands the mask of Ocean Master that they got when they captured Oren to Blubber. Says, hey, check something out with this mask for me. Something doesn't seem right.
Yep. And then, of course, we cut back to Hollywood at the premiere building where Gar hears like a Zeta tube winding down, and we see McGann with Cassia, Virgil, Robot Man, and who was the other one? I can't remember.
Eldorado is the hero name of him, I know.
Oh, yeah, and Eldorado. They all like walk in, and it's like, oh, here we go. It's intervention time, isn't it?
Yeah. Static and Eldorado kind of do like a clumsy thing about how, like, inspiring he is to them, how much they care about him, how much the kids care about him. how much they need him and how inspirational he is. And Beast Boy's response is just like, wow, that's a really cool speech. Did you guys practice that in the mirror? It was real funny. And then Wonder Girl says, like, I don't talk to my fucking boyfriend like that. He's like, listen here, you little idiot. You're being an asshole and you're ruining everything. Like, you need to stand up for yourself. You need to get out of this funk. We really need you. The team needs you. People care about you. Don't you get that, Garth? And then she kind of, again, it's kind of like, whatever. I don't care, Wonder Girl. That doesn't work as well. This is when we cut to Zebel, as we see the guys head to what's called the Grave of Legends. They see a giant statue of a man who looks like wind, and they say, well, yeah, our bloodlines used to go all the way back to the ancient times, because this statue looks exactly like him. As they begin to dig into the ground, we see some guards beginning to approach them, which means they might be discovered. Back with Arian, Chen again tells him, like, hey, you need to step up. You need to go to Zebel. You need to stop these riots that people are freaking out about what's going on. And then we cut to Arthur. He's with, he's still investigating what the hell what is up with Orym. And we see him go to some kind of like weird underwater bar. Some like fish man thugs try to rough him up, saying, "Hey, what are you doing here, King? You're not you're not the boss of us. We're gonna beat you up." And then he kind of has a whole giant pod of lemon sharks ready to tear these people apart. And it's like, get out of my way. He goes into the bar, and this is when he sees Deneth. He goes to Deneth and he talks to him about Orym, and he says, like, hey man, I need to talk to you because something's not right. This is when Robot Man tries to talk to Gar. He talks about, hey man, I know you're stronger than this. You were there when Rita died. You were there when the team died. You recovered my head and gave me a new body. I've been through depression before. I've lost people. We've both lost people. But you working so hard is what's, got me out of this funk. And I know you can do it again. We've been through this before. Please, you got to listen. And he's just like, huh? Really? That's the best you could do? Well, that sucks. Beast Boy continues to be a little bitch baby. McGann then says that she needs her brother. You can't do this. You can't push everybody away. I love you. We all love you. Please get out of this funk and help us. And then Garfield says, no. He says, I don't want to act. Okay, who's next? Oh, nobody? Great. I guess we're done here.
And then that's when McGann's like, okay, hold on. Just remember, none of us did anything. But Black Lightning requires everyone to have an annual mental health check, and yours is overdue. So it's either stop being a superhero, or you get to have therapy with Black Canary. And of course, this is like, Gar's just like really like exacerbated because it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah. Also, the main reason he says that none of this is working on him is because he says he's tired of being needed. He doesn't want to be needed anymore. He just wants to be alone right now. But yeah, he still needs to go to his therapy sessions with Black Canary or he will be kicked out. Connor, still, leaping and traveling, sees a vision of Superman. It's like, hey, Connor, we got this. I'll help you out. We'll get through this together. And he says, wow, thanks, Clark. And then suddenly Match, his Bizarro clone from Cadmus all the way back in season 1, pops out of nowhere, starts like just beating the shit out of Superman and kills him, like breaks his neck. And then Match just runs over and starts beating the shit out of Cal as well. Or as Connor as well. Cal's team begins to dig, but they see the guards are approaching. They hear them digging and they almost show up. But then, of course, a giant flash of light distracts the guards as they swim away. It's revealed that Delphise did this. She saved them by causing a distraction. They find the undersea, but there is a huge cave-in behind them, and they realize that they are now trapped. Arthur says something is wrong because when he talked to Orym, nothing that he said was really correct. It was kind of almost correct, but he says like, "What's going on?" And Dennis says, "Yeah, I talked to him, and his fucking his like memories were not clear and weren't explicit. Something's up with him." And then Blubber, the scientist, says, "Orym is a clone, likely created by the light." And then this is when, like, okay, well, where's Arian? He must know something about this. We need to figure out what the fuck he's going on. And we just, Arian must be tied to this. Where is he? Like, oh, he snuck out to Zebel. And that is where the episode ends.
And during the end credits, we are at Happy Harbor. Yep, Happy Harbor High School, where we see Violet and Harper sitting in the crowd, and Forager is giving his valedictorian speech because, of course, Forager was the valedictorian, and talking about all the lessons that he had as Fred Bug with 2 G's.
Yep,
and
Fred Bug with 2 G's did not feel honest, so he decided to be just Forager with 1 G instead of Fred Bug with 2 G's.
And then, after he gives his speech, everyone stands up, they cheer and everything, and that's pretty much where it ends.
Yep.
Oh, boy. So, Matt, what's that trope I hate?
Well, I remember way back when me and you saw a little movie we've already brought up once called Rise of Skywalker. And I remember going...
Sorry.
Ben saying his primary concern was that this movie was going to be about the plot to excuse how people who were dead came back from the dead was going to be clones.
And how many fucking times have they done that in this show?
They love clones.
Oh, hold on a second. Yeah. Takes a big old swig of my drink. Don't worry, it's non-alcoholic, kids. Just oh my gosh, when they pulled this trife again, I'm just like, oh my god, they really just did it again. They really just loop back to it. They loop back to it. It's just like because what Matt said, Orm got fucking beheaded. So how are they gonna explain this one away? Is he actually someone in disguise? Is he magicked up by someone? Is it just Vandal Savage being Vandal Savage? No. No, it was not, because it was just a clone.
Yep, it was a clone. Mystery solved. Oh, what a fun thing. Clone stories. Have you seen... How far in Adventure Time? Did you get to Fern in Adventure Time yet?
Dude, I have not consistently watched Adventure Time.
Okay, because at one point there is a grass clone of Finn named Fern, who is initially an antagonist, and then he becomes an ally, but then he kind of becomes a loose, kind of trying to replace Finn, not fully good guy over the course of several episodes and several seasons. He's really around for a really long time. You haven't seen Invincible yet?
No, I haven't. And it's so funny? I have no excuses for that one, because guess what? I actually have an Amazon Prime.
It's great, watch it. But one of the main D tier antagonists is the Muller twins, who are these two big muscly. Are
you talking about the big muscle blue guys?
Yeah,
or actually twins. Also scientists.
They are very smart. Yes, they're literally super smart scientists. But the thing is that they are both clones. But the thing is that they never really know which one is the clone. Whenever one of them gets killed, because, in Invincible, everyone gets killed in disgustingly bloody ways. Whenever one gets killed, they go into a machine, clone them with all the memories up to that literal second. And then when they wake up, neither of them knows which one is the original. And there's some really cool story dynamics with that eventually. But, it's funny because, they'll wake up, they won't know which one is the clone, but they'll, always, shit on the other one whenever they're just doing any kind of scheme or any kind of activity. Say, well, you're a clone, who cares? You wouldn't think that, wouldn't you, clone? You're the clone, you're an idiot. And it's just, very fun little dynamic with them. But that's a good handling of cloning because it's just, a plot-relevant thing. Of course, this show, we're very familiar with Hordak. Good Hordak.
Oh, Hordak.
Not wrong Hordak, or Hordak Prime. That's a whole army of goddamn clones.
Yeah, I was going to say, just Hordak Prime, and you find out that original Hordak, and I air quote original Hordak, a.k.a. wrong Hordak, a.k.a. just...
Horde Prime?
No. Horde Prime is the ultimate... It's just stop. Stop with the clones. Stop it. No. Bad.
And I was say,
Clone Wars comes up. Hey, Clone Wars. No. Stop it. At least with that one, it's just they didn't try to be oh, who's this person? No, they were just hey, we made you a clone army. All these people are clones. Have fun with that.
Don't ask about where it came from. We have them now. Just continue on to that part, episode 3.
Yeah. And in Star Wars, it was hey, you have an army of clones. Have fun with it. And they were okay. It wasn't
Yeah.
just like trying to be like, oh, ooh, deception. Who's the deceiver? I am, and I'm a clone. I fucking. Sorry, I could
The
go.
other,
I could go
of
off
course,
on this. I could go
of
off on
course,
this
yeah,
more.
yeah. I knew it was a trope you hated, but the other thing I wanted to talk about was interventions. There's like one of the most famous ones, of course, is the "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia," the episode where they try to do an intervention, but then they just like start yelling "intervention, intervention," and start like shitty talking everybody around them. It's like they don't get the point of them in the
Yeah,
room.
yeah.
It's a very early episode.
I have not watched that series like consistently, but I do actually remember that particular episode because it was like, oh wow, they're gonna actually have an intervention. Man, I remember, I remember going like, yeah, they're gonna actually have an intervention. How are they gonna fuck it up? And of course, it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So of course they fuck it up in not just in a minor way, they fuck it up in the most royal way possible.
Yeah, very, very funny. Did you watch Steven Universe Future?
It's been a long time, but which part are you talking about? Because I have a feeling I know where you're going with this.
The final episode, Everything's Fine, or the second to last episode.
Yeah. The one where they actually have an intervention with Steven, and Steven like legitimately breaks down, reveals all of the horrible shit he's done, and then he just becomes a kaiju.
Yeah, they actually try to they're doing their best to try to help address his mental health issues because his insane life. And yeah, they do have a little sit down with him in the episode Everything's Fine, which is a very, titularly relevant to how Beast Boy's shitty ass is acting in this episode.
Yeah, only unlike with Beast Boy, unlike with Beast Boy, at least Steven was, actually broke down and actually finally realized some of the shitty things he did. Unfortunately, after he realized the shitty things that he did, he let it consume him, obviously. But with Beast Boy, Beast Boy's still in that bitch mode of, I'm in denial, man, I don't need you guys. I'm just sitting here, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna real talk with you.
Yeah.
Another trope I really hate is the intervention trope.
Yeah.
I actually do. Of course, just like with the prophecy trope, there are exceptions, like Steven Universe one. He had an intervention, and it wasn't he broke down and then he started fixing his life immediately. Or it wasn't, what Beast Boy is doing right now, like, screw you guys, I don't need you guys, smell you later. No, he actually broke down, realized he was a shitty person, and just was like, well, damn, I'm just a shitty person. Guess I and actually let that consume him a little bit. And I was okay with that. But no.
I was, yeah.
Sorry, Sorry, go on.
I was like, the only other example I was going to give, have you seen BoJack Horseman?
Surprisingly enough, no. I for some reason, every time I try to watch that show, I stop. Even though I know people have said it's a good show, even though I know it's a lot
very
deeper.
dark and depressing. It can get really upsetting.
Well, it's not even.
There's a number of interventions in that during that course of the series. What a shitty person BoJack is.
It's not even that, but for some reason, there's just I watch it and I just get bored.
No, I get it. But yeah, what were you supposed to say about interventions as well? Yeah.
Oh, no. I was just going to ramble. I'm going to be honest. I was just going to ramble a little bit. It's just like, it's not as heavy as obviously the clone trope. Ugh, the clone trope. But like the intervention one, it's kind of like the prophecy trope. They only go two ways with it. It's either they've realized what they've done and they immediately start bettering themselves, or they just push it off until finally they have like a mental breakdown. But in like the where the difference is in Steven Universe Future, it was going through a lot of that, but then he actually realized he kind of had a breakdown, but he immediately realized that he was bad, and rather than being like, okay, I'm gonna make myself a better person, no, he realized he was a shitty person, in which case it kind of devolved into he's gonna let that part consume him, and then it actually, obviously, we know it got better in the end. But it was much better portrayed, in my opinion, in Steven Universe Future than in other media.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's a very weird, difficult subject, but yeah, very interesting episode. So I'm assuming with those two tropes that you don't like, the episode 16 in general is probably low on your list of episodes.
Wait, what was that question again? Sorry.
I'm guessing because of those two tropes that you hate in this episode being focused on them, you didn't care for episode 16 of Young Justice.
Okay, look. I liked episode 16. Just not the Gar parts, and not that ending thing where it's like, plot twist, he's a clone all along. That was like some M. Night Shyamalan levels of plot twist right there. I'm like, really? I don't know. And we're not talking like, The Sixth Sense, a good one. No, we're talking like The Village kind of levels of plot twist.
That was just terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just like, and I'm just sitting here like, oh, we're really doing this, aren't we? Son of a fuck. But yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, okay, so let's wrap up that episode and go to the last episode of this part. Episode 17. Leviathan Wakes.
Okay,
Orm is told that he is a clone, yeah?
We're not doing Metalocalypse. You don't have to give it like the kind of voice. Anyway, sorry, you were saying...
Orm is told he's a clone. And it's kind of like, what are you talking about? Then we see we see McGann appear like in her mermaid form, saying like I read his mind. He does not know he's a clone. And then I was like, you poor bastard, you didn't know that you're a dumbass clone. And he's just like, oh well, you're making shit up. I don't believe you. I'm like, well, he really believes he doesn't know it, huh? That sucks for him. And this is when we hit that intro.
Yes, that lovely. You're a clone. No, I'm not. He doesn't know. Poor fool. Back in Zebul. I think we start off outside the Royal Palace.
Yeah, the people are rebelling still.
Yep, and of course they're all like, Arion. And for some reason we hear a kid in the background played by Dante Bosco going, Rufio. And of course everyone's like, that's him. That's the High King. We all know that's him, right? And like a lot of people like Orin, Mara, and like
the
Lori.
Sea Council's talking about Arion and saying like, okay, well, if he really is Arion, it doesn't matter. King Annex Orin, you're a terrible leader. We don't believe you. Hey, you Nineveh people are running. There's kind of like fighting back and forth about what to do regarding Arion. And this is when they say that we must wait for the crown. It will prove if he is really the guy or not. And then this is when we see underwater, the stealth team is like been gone for a long ass time. It's been weeks. They're kind of like swimming underwater in the undersea. But then we see the magma pools are like popping up and almost blasting them, and they see that they're getting like trained and like being super observant, stopping them. We see that Cal and Wind both have beards now. They've been trapped for so fucking long. Lagan worries that he's gonna miss the birth of his child with his wife and husband, and they're just like, hey man, we gotta keep going. We'll find the crown. Don't worry, this is a stealth mission. We knew we were getting into some shit. We have to keep going. And this is when, while they're swimming, they talk about Connor, which Lagan says, hey, I remember way back in season 2 when everyone hated me because I was with McGann, and Connor was like, getting cucked and being upset about it. Everyone hated me, but I, held a grudge against Connor for a long time. But, now I'm happy, and I wish, I'm upset that they lost him, and I know that I can't imagine what Cal's going through because he was his best friend. This is terrible. But as they are swimming, a giant enemy crab spawns out of nowhere as they prepare to fight.
Crab battle!
During the council meeting, they have the emergency meeting, and the people are saying, okay, where's that little octo boy? And he pops up on a video screen along with Calvin, his name's father, and like the blonde guy. And they say, okay, so where's Coral? Like, oh, she's in labor. So we find out that Lagan's wife is actually in labor right now, which sucks for him. But the Topo, the octopus boy, is saying like, okay, but I mean, I'll take her vote regardless. And then like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, we assumed that we were all here to vote for if Arion's going to be put in charge or not. And as they're saying, that Arion appears.
Yep, Arion appears, and then we go back to the crab battle.
Yep. Lagan tosses a giant pillar into the crab's mouth while they're all like trying to shoot it and blast it and stuff, and this actually does like immediately choke the crab out. It swims away, scared.
Yeah, like it should. It should fucking run away, the bitch.
They finally find the undersea as they're swimming around, and they find a giant crushed skeleton, which, if you remember the episode, the last arc, Vandal Savage's son, who I don't think was this Orin Was it? It was just the guy who.
No, it was someone else. I can't remember who it was, but he died by getting crushed by his own statue.
Yeah, it was specifically Clarion was like destroying Atlantis when it was back above water, and the guy got crushed trying to push his dad out of the way, and Vandal Savage saw him get killed. As they continue to swim, they all start glowing with the ambient magic prevailing in this area. And they're like, oh, hey, I think we're near something. We're actually finding it. And as they are swimming, they see in a random pile of dust the crown. They have found it.
And they also find some huge, scaly creature emerging.
Yeah, some big, giant, scaly sea serpent, fish, dragon monster, which is a very weird design. But it's... And then back with Orm, we see he is in prison shouting, saying like, hey, Arthur, where are you? I need to talk to you. And McGann approaches and says like, hey, what do you need? And he says, I want to know the truth. I want to know what the fuck is going on. And so McGann begins to scan his mind as she says, I said Simon's mind touch. There's some kind of memory buried here. I'm going to reveal it for you. At your earliest memory, which is like, at least the closest, not going to be that far ago.
Right.
We see the Ultra Humanite, who we haven't seen since season 1, I don't think, and Vandal Savage. They say, okay, so we're going to tell our whole scheme in front of this clone, right? Yeah, and they're going to erase his memory, right? Sure, that's what we're going to do. We cut back to Arian is ready to take the lead if needed, but does not want to do this if he does not, believe so. They snuck out of the council is split on whether to put him in charge or not. As they'll kind of vote, we see a number of the people say, yes, Arian should be put in charge, and a number of people say, no, we should wait for the crown. Back with Orm's memories of Vandal Savage. We see Vandal say, okay, so the Cybacks are all ready? I'm like, yep, okay, so we're going to initiate Project Threnus. We'll get this clone out there, and the whole project will be underway. Back with Arthur, he says he can't believe that they want to choose this man that they don't even know who the hell he is over him, their actual king. You people are all cowards and fools, he says to the whole council. But they vote, and they all pretty much vote for Arian, except for Nereus, who says, nay, I want to vote for myself. They're just like, oh, shut the fuck up, man.
I will vote for me, because King Shark is... No, shut up. Just shut up.
Yep. This is when we cut to another memory of Orm's, and it's Vandal Savage talking to the Arian, and he says, thank goodness we have that my grandson's flute that had some of his DNA on it. So, are you prepared to take charge, Orm? Bum, bum, bum. Dramatic Weaver. It's revealed that Arian is actually Orm. I assume with his memory reimplanted through a Cyback, whatever that is, through Simon's mind memory thing. The sea serpent monster that they're fighting with the stealth team continues to thrash around and get their butts, get destroyed. I'm going to take it ahead for a second.
Yep, okay.
So you know what happens next?
Right. Oh, yeah, hold on a second. Yeah, so, big creature attacks, in the other sea. And as all of this is happening, the Leviathan is really just kicking their butts and everything. But as all of this is happening, Kaldor actually uses electrical shocks to kind of steer the creature away, driving it to swim upwards towards the top of the undersea. That way they can get out because there was a cave in. So he does that. It all works out. And they finally, it actually retraps itself somehow. I forget, but
the cave re-collapses behind it, and then
it re-collapses and gets back. Oh, hey, welcome back, by the way.
Yeah, it was a weird thing I had to check on.
But then
they see Arian is about to announce his rule, right? Oh, yep. What's going on? I'll let you take it.
Yeah. It's just like Arian is like, all right, I'm going to, he's going to reluctantly accept his role as High King. And,
McGann is telling Arthur in his ear with an earpiece saying, like, oh my God, you can't reveal that it's Orm, but it is him. You have to worry, don't let him, don't let him do this, Arthur. As Arthur says to Arian, or aka him, he says, Okay, well, brother, you can't do this. You cannot take charge. And he says, yeah, you're not my brother. I don't have any brother. I fuck you, Aquaman. Then this is when we see Cal and the gang approaching with the crown. And he says, you see. Oh, well, we forgot to mention also that during the Vandal Savage thing, they talk about how Wotan taught him ancient magics. And that's how he had the ancient magic of air. And then whatever the side back is, probably put the memory of Orm into the body of this clone of Arian. That's how this whole thing got started. We see, he says, he put the crown on. And he takes the crown from Cal, puts it on his head. And this is when we see a quick cut to the Lords of Order and Chaos up in the cosmos again. And he said, he puts the helmet on and says, yes, yes, and his head like it's all big and bloated, and he explodes into dust as a big beam flies back to the Lords of Order.
Yep. It seems that the plan did not work.
Nope, it did not. As Mira goes over to it, she picks up the crown and tells the crowd, see, this is the truth. He was no Aryan, he was a false king. Your true king is Arthur. And she has the spear and everything like that. And Arthur then says, no, I am not your annex anymore. The true ruler should be Mira. She's, the true ruler. She's the one who stopped the pillar. She's the one who did all this stuff. She knew from the beginning this great prophecy. She was the most, competent. And she'll be able to handle this much better than I ever could. And this is when they're all voting like, hey, I. And then even her like shitty dad is just like, I vote for my daughter too. So they all agree. And she says, okay, well, first things first, we're going to share the wealth. This is now the communist nation now. The capitalism was not working out for us. They all cheer as we see Lagan and Wind start to talk about, once again, that Cal is in desperate need of rest, and they desperately need to settle everything with Cal's, regarding Connor and everything like that. As they're approaching, they see Arthur talking to Cal, saying, I think I'm going to rejoin the Justice League, and I'll be Aquaman. And then they're like, wait, you're going to be Aquaman, but what about Cal? And he says, well, you know what, I'm going to retire, take a break. And we could really use another Aquaman, though, because why can't there be two? Because there's 3 Green Lanterns and 2 Flashes currently, so why can't there be 2 Aquaman? Lagan, as they are agreeing to make Lagan the new Aquaman.
And then finally, Kaldor's like, good job, Lagan. And for the first time ever, I'm going to take a leave of absence right now. And I think I'm going to actually rest and actually figure out what the hell is going on with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then we actually go back to, to the storeroom in Warworld, where Savage picks up Arian's flute. And of course, we see Dr. Fate appear behind him.
What do you want, my son? As it's the body of Zatanna. Very little thing. And he says, hey, I knew your dumb scheme. But you really thought that stupid scheme would work? That the Lords of Order would allow a dumbass clone of a villain in the body of an actual chosen person to wield the fucking helmet, you fool? I just came here to laugh at you. And then Fate kind of just leaves. And in rage, Savage breaks the thing, saying, the Lords of Order are fools. And, just breaks the flute, and he's really pissed. Then we cut back to the prison as we see Orm is being freed because he hasn't, he did try to attack the council, but besides that, he shouldn't be blamed for Orm's crimes. And also his memories were not his own, so he was obviously taken advantage of as well. So this is, you're free, Orm. You can be a new person. You can be a better man than, your original clone body was. We see a short montage of all the Atlantean families. We see Lagan and his husband and wife and their new baby. We see Wind and Cal chilling out with Delphis. We see everybody else all around the sea kind of being happy and, finally chilling out with their families, along with Arthur and Mira. Connor is still trapped. He's losing all hope. He's exhausted. The weird dream version of Match is kicking his ass. And he's completely ready to give up. But just as he does, we see the school bus from the bridge that day fly through space. And he's kind of like, wait, help me, I'm trapped here. Which is the scene we saw during the child arc when we actually saw the bus fly by him in this weird dimension, which is very funny.
And then as he's sinking down, very distraught right now, he feels like he's just losing his mind. But then we see a hand reach, touch his shoulder, and we see Lex Luthor smiling at him, and it just uses that old common phrase, Red Sun.
Red Sun.
And
And
then
then we have a
we
very,
go to the watchtower,
sad
I think, right?
little post-credit scene, of Cal talking about how this is the 10-year anniversary of the series. 10 years ago, the first episode aired when he took Robin and Kid Flash, and they went into that little base against everyone's wishes.
Oh yeah, in Cadmus, right? And that's when they
went
freed
into
Superboy.
Cadmus. They made this team and they set all this into action with this entire crazy ass story, this crazy ass world that they set up that they're at now. And he's just saying he's so tired and he does need to relax, and it's just been so much, and he's finally, taking time to himself. And that is where the arc ends.
And there we have it.
Yeah. So now the annex of Poseidon is Mira.
Yep.
A
Mira.
character who is marred by controversy and tragedy in the comics and storylines and stuff like that, because there's three things I associate with Mira.
Uh-huh.
One is during the Green Lantern Brightest Day series, and when all the other lanterns were popping up, the orange and the blue and everyone else, she obtained the Red Lantern ring, where she became a crazy blood spewing psychopath murderer. And Red Lanterns are my favorite lanterns, and the fact that she was the one chosen from Earth was very cool. But she was a huge psycho, and it was really fun because Atrocitus, the main Red Lantern, was actually in love with her because he was such a good evil Red Lantern, and she was so angry, which is a far cry from this version of the character, who's very, very chill. The other thing is Flashpoint. I don't know if you ever read Flashpoint.
Or I've watched that one silly movie about it.
Okay, yeah. Have you ever seen the movie?
A while ago I had, but anyway,
Okay.
what about
Well,
it?
remember the whole impetus for the story of Wonder Woman and Aquaman's story was that I think Aquaman may have cheated on Mira with Diana, and then she tried to get revenge, but of course Wonder Woman fucking killed her ass, and then that's why there's a huge war with the Amazons and the Atlanteans, and that's the main thing tearing apart that world. More than all the other personal stuff with the low-level heroes, it's the two of them trying to war with each other over the death of Mira is the main plot point thing with her. That's the other thing.
Oh yeah, I do remember that, and then I thought it was funny because it was wait a minute. Why are we having this war? You literally cheated on your wife for me. He's like, but I didn't want you to kill her.
Yeah, it's very fucked up.
Yeah, I'm just okay, what the fuck ever, I guess.
And of course, the other thing, which we will not get into, is the actress who plays her in the Aquaman series, Amber Heard.
And that is all we need to know. And that is all we
That's
need
all
to
you
say
need to
on
say.
that.
Amber Heard. Then, of course, but beyond that, I mentioned before we started this arc, the Aquaman sequel, The Lost Kingdom. There is a lot of interesting things because it does deal with the origin of the underwater kingdom and the evil of an evil other trident. With a lost kingdom of monsters that are trying to take over in the trench. It's a shitty movie, but there's a lot of Nereus stuff. There's a little bit of stuff with Mira, but of course, if you followed any of that crazy shit going on with the Amber Heard stuff, Jason Momoa was not on her side. He refused to be in any scenes with her, and so the movie does suffer because of that as well. Because they have one scene together where they don't talk to each other, and then she's not in the movie.
Yeah, that's the one thing I didn't like because it was during that whole thing.
Yeah. No, they have no scenes together because he was they're a lot of animosity between the two of them on set. So they have no scenes where they talk to each other, even though they are married in the movie and they should be talking to each other. They do not address each other at all. It's very weird. But the movie itself is also bad. I told you Orm eats fucking cockroaches multiple times in the movie. It's like a gag. Orm's a good guy kind of too. It's a bizarre movie, and it's not very good. This arc as a whole, Ben, what did you think? I know we barely know any Aquaman stuff, but this is all underwater mostly.
Like I said, don't get me wrong. I'm all for the whole Lords of Order, Lords of Chaos, and I still think so far the best arc in this is the one where Vandal Savage literally saves the world by literally talking to the Lords of Order and Chaos. That one. I mean, let's be honest. We know Vandal Savage is a very overpowered character, but still, the fact remains that is still not a feat to sneeze at. That he was able to do that. He is intense. But if I had to pick a second favorite arc, it would definitely be this one because I know at the beginning I said, oh, it's Aquaman and like Atlantis and all of that. You don't get to see much of that, except for funny joke. All I can do is talk to fish, and that's all I can do. No, they actually you can see in this arc particularly, and actually in Young Justice as a whole, the evolution of what Aquaman became. I mean, sure, the first time he started actually being important and relevant and a badass was the old Justice League cartoon, like from the
Yeah,
90s and early 2Ks, which is a fantastic watch. I would highly recommend any of you who are fans of DC anything to watch that series and Justice League Unlimited. It's follow up. But here you just see like a more honestly a better version of like the Atlanteans and Aquaman and stuff like that. Plus the fact that Vandal Savage for the first time in a long time was a complete dumbass.
He actually, he had a plan and he actually lost and failed. Look on screen, like the first time he lost.
Yeah, he legitimately loses because I mean, just like what Doctor Fate said, he was just like, really, you thought a clone with the memories of him was gonna succeed? Dumbass leaves. But as Vandal Savages want to do, he's not done yet. What? That was just one plan that failed. Oh no, it's not like he has like millions of other plans.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was very, very funny. But yeah, it was interesting to see him fail. It was also interesting to see what the reveal. When I first watched this, like I was literally so confused regarding the fucking Orm thing. And then when it was revealed, I watched it forever ago. But then rewatching it this time, I completely forgot what the fuck was going on with it. And I was like, yeah, how the fuck, who is this Aryan guy and what the fuck, how the fuck is Orm not dead? So it was fun watching it again, completely forgetting the mystery of it. But yeah, it's a very interesting arc. I would say I liked it more than the Mars arc, but less than the other two, the magic and origin of humanity arc, and then the
sisters
assassins.
Yeah, the assassins one.
Sisters arc. Yeah. I think like that. This is the second lowest for me. But like when I first watched this, I really did not care for this arc at all because I really didn't care about the underwater stuff. Like Cal's interesting. I wish we got more of Delphise. I like her design and everything, but I was like really like whatever the fuck about it. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I get you. But yeah, just so like once again, actually, like it's a smaller arc, but I was really glad to see where they went with Violet in this arc as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it had a lot of good stuff going on, but it was very enjoyable.
It was. I agree. It was very good, and just just seeing everything come to fruition and okay, actually, it would be remiss of me if I did not bring this up. Finally, a portrayal of a polyamorous relationship that's actually good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was surprised because at first it was like, Lagan and Coral. And I'm like, oh, they actually got together and they had a kid. Then he yelled about how his wife and husband were in there. I'm like, excuse me? And then you find out...
it was when the council was attacked, it was the other husband saying Coral was his wife. And I was just like, what the fuck are they talking about? Then
and then like Lagan actually drops that, and I'm just like, wait a minute. But yeah, and then you find out that there's a polyamorous relationship going on there, and I'm just like, dude... Rock on!
The show got very progressive during this whole season. Yeah, I was gonna say also there's a weird thing with I don't know if it's a weird like underwater thing or a fish thing, but there's a mermaid character in League of Legends. Spoiler for something we'll cover eventually. But like in the card game series, like they show a lot more lore and a lot more side characters, and you find out that she's also in a poly relationship with multiple people, and it's like, oh, is that a weird like sea thing with fish actually?
Here's the thing though. Okay, so we're gonna didn't think we were gonna get on this tangent, but fuck it, we're here anyway. When it comes to polyamorous relationships, don't get me wrong. If you're in a polyamorous relationship and you're listening to this, that's fine. Do you? I'm not. If you can make it work, make it work. I am not a judgmental person when it comes to this, and I'm all for you just being who you are. But my whole thing on it, like in my perspective, is if you're going to be in a polyamorous relationship, points at Lagan and Coral and them. Be like them. Have an
Relationship
agreement.
goals.
Have an agreement where you're all in on it. Like, don't get me wrong. Personally, I just never really saw / am not as okay than most people with open relationships kind of things.
Yeah, it can be difficult. If they're all faithful, they're married to each other, they're only with that group. Yeah, if they, like I said, yeah, of course, like anything, if you can make it work, you can make it work. Congratulations. It can be difficult though.
And just to reiterate, to you, to the viewers, if you're in an open relationship, that's fine. Like Matt said, as long as you make it work and you all are happy with it, by all means, go wild, be happy. That's the whole point. Is just be happy.
Yeah, a very interesting arc and a very interesting little. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than the first time I watched it, which makes me excited for the next 2 parts because I'm curious how I'll feel about those. The next.
That's right. We only have 2 more arcs, don't we?
Yeah. Only 9 episodes left.
Well then. Do you have any more tangents, any more questions that you want to ask me?
No. We talked about it. We talked about the Aquaman movie being shitty. We talked about Mira Mira being in charge of the underwater seas now is a very interesting twist for her, that character. And yeah, we talked about the poly with Lagan. I'm glad Lagan's back too. I like that.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, yeah.
A lot of people didn't like Lagan. I think maybe you were like one of the people who was not on Team Lagan back when he was with Megan. But like, I always liked Lagan, and I'm glad he got a happy ending.
I hated him when he was like, because he felt like he was just an insert character who's like, yeah, I'm the wrench between Connor and McGann. And then in this one, he actually, like, in my eyes, he kind of redeemed himself. So
yeah. All right, let's wrap things up here and call it an episode.
Yep. I can promise you one thing. Yeah. I, once again, do not have any plugs whatsoever of merit. However, I know you do, so I'm just going to sit here and pretend I'm watching you adoringly while you do this.
Of course. Matthew Lewis Podcasts on Patreon, Matthew Lewis Podcasts on YouTube, ML Podcasts on Blue Sky, fuck that other website. Matthew Lewis Podcasts on Twitch. I do stream a couple of times. Also, I'm playing a bunch of Marvel Rivals. I'll probably try to stream that sometime soon. Try to catch one of those streams or VODs. Watch the Mortal Kombat Ghostface VOD on the YouTube channel. What else is there? Oh, of course, my podcasts. Action Toon Bros. Go listen to the old episodes of that. Movie Garbage. At the time of recording this, I just released the Digimon episode. This episode probably won't be coming out for fucking months, though. But go back and listen to that episode. Hopefully, we'll have the other Movie Garbage we're planning on recording out, but done by that time, too. Movie Garbage, go listen to the old episodes. Action Toon Bros, Movie Garbage, what else is there? Oh yeah, of course, my fucking book. Go buy it on Amazon. Go buy Forgotten Minotaur King. Go listen to the episodes for free. Go do all that stuff. The promotion is fun. Work is work, but this podcasting is therapy for me, so help support it.
Yes,
all right.
Yes, please, by all means, help support his terapi sessions, aka this podcast. Because he doesn't have enough
shouting
money
about
to
movies and TV shows for hours and hours and hours. Nice
but
and
healthy. Another episode well done. We're nearing the finish of this, and from us here at Action Toon Brothers headquarters to you, dear lovely viewers, as always,
really keep
it sleazy.
Sleazy.
Yeah, we're done. We're done trying this. We're done.